So yeah, tonight I really just wanted to fill in some gaps. I am a parent to an autistic son who is 23 now. He was diagnosed when he was younger, but I'll be talking about different stages as well, and when you get a different diagnosis, because I know that that can happen at any age, basically. I have a close family member who wasn't diagnosed till he was 52. So yeah, and I know that that can have an impact in different ways. Okay, Dave. So yeah, parents and carers and anyone dealing with autistic people can have so many different feelings. If you've been trying to get a diagnosis for a while, you can feel relieved, elated, thankful when you actually get the diagnosis. Before getting the diagnosis, you could be confused, frustrated. You could find it, just so many different things going on there, uncertain what's happening, all these different emotions, which can be mixed. You can get them all at one time, actually, almost. You could, David's looking at me, David Simmons, because he's a psychology lecturer, but you can feel happy, sad, you can be in denial, you can feel a sense of loss. There are all sorts of different things. And what I really want to say is accept the emotions that you've got. Just accept that there are different things that will go on. Some people say that they think they're going to feel elated and relieved, and they do, but they also feel that sense of almost grieving and loss as well, and they're confused about it and conflicted about it. So just to accept the emotions that you feel, and these emotions can be changeable as you go through the whole process of all that's going on, and as the years progress as well. And there's something called like carer's fatigue, which I experienced a couple of months ago, again, just because my son needed to get up on a morning that is occasionally the morning that I get a lie-in, and I knew I had to support him, and I was just like, oh, really? Not again. I really don't want to do this. And it wasn't just a little bit of that. It was like a massive feeling of that. And how long is this going to have to last for? And all those questions that were coming up for me. And I did. I got up and I did the minimal thing, the least I needed to do to actually get my son out for 9 o'clock in the morning. And as a 23-year-old, he's a little bit behind physiological wise, so he's still a bit of a teenager. So morning is a sort of concept for him. It's not a reality. Quite a lot of days, and he also needs extra sleep. So that was. But as I say, it's just changeable throughout the whole process, and you can be elated one minute and really down the next. So just accept what's going on for you. Okay, Dave? Expectations. So once you get the diagnosis, if you're kind of a little bit shocked by it, if you've been going for the diagnosis, then you might not be as shocked, but you might actually find that you're going to have to change your expectations of the way the pathway is going to be. So the little man at the top there, initially you think, okay, that's fine, I've got this person, and this is the direction that we're going in. It doesn't matter what age they are. The 52-year-old I know had already gone through a lot of his life, and he'd done the sort of general path, and then all of a sudden he realizes that is different. He is different from the neurotypical person, and actually his life has taken a different path since then. So things change, and what I would say is we need to be realistic, but also take a day at a time. Try not to project too far ahead, because you actually don't know what's round the corner, and you will get some real surprises as well, and things. We wondered when our son was in primary 6 whether he would come out of school with any qualifications at all, and he did. And actually he's now, we thought he probably wouldn't drive, and he's driving. He drove him and a friend down to Alton Towers recently. He stopped, and he was very sensible, and he phoned us at times to say, this is where I am, and I've stopped for a break. And he was checking in with his friend, and they did it together, and it was just phenomenal. From somebody we thought, oh, he's not going to drive, to hearing that. So we get surprises at times, things happen suddenly overnight. New skills develop overnight. And just something to say on that is that if a new skill is developing, then you might see what you think is a regression, but actually what's happening is that the energy is going into the new skill. And so it looks like some of these other skills that you've been working on for such a long time have been lost. But actually, if you keep supporting the new development, and if you support the skills that appear to have been lost, you'll find that things come back together again, and there's been a new thing happened, and there's been development, and it's great. And what we need to say is to celebrate those wins, to celebrate them, and even things that look really small. So you would take the next step for a neurotypical person, but you would divide that down into even more steps so that you're actually celebrating the small wins, and then you get big ones as well. So that's really good. Okay, Dave, next slide. So support. There's so many different ways of receiving support. And actually, East Dunbartonshire has quite a lot more than some other authorities who really don't have anything at all. And if you speak to the local year coordinators, you'll find out that there are actually a lot of things going on, and more, even in what we would call the mainstream environment, where people are being trained now and are finding out how to help neurodivergent people. So in terms of formal support, I'm not going to go into it all, but one of the things, I went to uni and did an MSc in autism, and one of the things that I learned there was to try to take a partnership attitude. And we found this really, really helpful, so that when we went to meetings as parents, we were thinking, okay, I'm here as a parent, what can I bring to the table? There are other agencies here or other professionals here, and what are they bringing to the table as well? And how can we work in partnership to help our children, and or to help our young adults, or to help our adults even? And so you can have formal education, so right through from nursery, right through to universities. There are different approaches to getting that. So in universities, you tend to have to go and ask for it much more, whereas in nurseries, they might actually point things out to you a bit more. But yeah, there are formal things. And to try and have that, instead of the sort of, I'm going in and I'm battling for my child, if you don't have to do that. And I know that it can be difficult, but if we can keep the communication open and try as much as possible to approach things in, we're doing this together. I'm not going to get into the whole resources shortages thing, that's for another night, but it can be really helpful to have that attitude, and we found it really helpful. So the informal ones are things like, there's a group called At Ease with Autism, who basically meet in Tesco's on a Friday in term time, and they just have tea and coffee together. And some people bring a lunch, some people bring biscuits, so it's really, really informal, a chat. And there's a WhatsApp, and that is also very informal. So it's not a formal organisation. But also think about, where do you connect with people, which is really important. So we had groups that, family, and I know that not everybody has family, but who support them or understand, but, we had family who supported us. We had some friends who supported us. They didn't necessarily understand, but they certainly have supported us. Where are the people who get your family or your child or your young adult or your adult, and who are they and what kind of network can you do to support them. And we also found a church that helped us, so there were people in that and friendship groups through that too. So there are different ways and different pathways into that. So, look with Citizens Advice Bureau, education's one, your GP's one, friends are one. University pointed out to one of my daughter's best friends that actually this was something she might want to look into in terms of a diagnosis. She's now left university and she still doesn't have gone through the assessment, but there's so many different things that you can do, and there are challenges and to getting that support, but if you keep asking and keep looking for it, there are people out there, and there's Creatovators and there are other groups who will help you too. Okay, next slide, Dave. Language. So this is really important on so many different levels. But what I would say is try to learn the terms that people use in terms of autism, because it means that in terms of that sort of partnership working, you're actually able to understand the language that people are using, and you can use that language too, so that you're coming at it from the same sort of idea. Now that can be difficult because different agencies use different terms as well, but just keep asking those questions and try as much as possible. It can be tiring to start with, I understand that. There's a whole load of admin that comes along with a diagnosis and a pre-diagnosis, and we can help you a little bit with some of that stuff. But yeah, try to learn the terms and try to be positive in the way that we're talking about things. So Creatovators is all about seeing the potential within individuals and trying to reach that potential in the best way that's possible and that works for the individual. And I think we're getting it right in most of the cases. Not always, but we do try, and I think we do. The feedback that we get tells us that we're getting it right in most cases. So yeah, see the potential and try and be positive. Language is always evolving. I've put that as the last point, but just to say, I was looking at some papers last night, and this was from over 10 years ago, and they're saying use the language people with autism, and that was what they were devising at that point, and now it is use first-person language, so autistic people. And some people like to say people on the spectrum, but apparently that's going out of vogue as well. So it's the language is always evolving, and you always got to keep up with it, and it's quite hard, but it is good to have the terms and to learn those terms. Next slide, Dave. So what next? That's a really good question. Without going into what autism is, really, it's a big spectrum, so you will know your child, and so keep asking the questions. Ask the professionals what they can see as well, because they do know what they're talking about. Most professionals are really caring, and it's the systems that don't quite work for our neurodivergent kids, just because they're not being formed for that. But we keep advocating on behalf of everybody, and we're getting there slowly, very slowly, but we are getting there. I think Hannah would agree with that. It's very different now from when Andrew was very young. But anyway, it is a good question, and just look for advice, look at your child, you know your child, you know what triggers them, and it's just working out, is this a meltdown, or is it them pushing the barriers? That's quite hard, but as your child grows and develops, you'll start to see the signs, and you'll start to understand what is going on and what the behaviour means. And all behaviour is language and communication of some sort. And connect in with people as much as you can. That's really, really important. There is actually a bigger community out there than you would think. And so initially you do feel quite alone, but actually you start to connect in with people. And I was speaking to a mum about that recently who is just starting out on this journey. She said, oh, I've come here and I realised there's actually much more there than initially I'd thought. I didn't know about you lot, I didn't know about all these other families that are going through a similar thing to me. So connect with as many people as you can. Connect with the local area coordinators, and yeah, come and speak to me and Millie during the break or afterwards. We don't know everything, but we're learning all the time, and yeah, we do what we can, I guess. We're constantly training. Okay, Dave, next one. So this is just something that I felt after reading some various different things last night. So autistic people can lead full, rewarding, joy-filled lives. They may not look like neurotypical lives, but they can. And it's different pathways and different ways to get there. But my son is leading a full, rewarding, joy-filled life. May not be what we had thought it was going to be, but that's what he's leading, and I'm happy that he's happy and healthy, and we'll just keep supporting him. And so the next slide, Dave, is just to say thank you. Thank you for listening. Okay.